All right, kind of excited for this. This is a continuation on my first ditch video. As you can see, that ditch is kind of filling up with water. Well, we got a culvert. Never installed one before. This is a 18-incher. It's gonna go right in here. I started digging the hole already for the ditch that's gonna drain this thing. It's a little oblong because it's hard to even off the sides until you can get rid of these spoil piles. But I'd say this thing is about waist high when I stand in there, and I'll end up extending it as time allows through the summer. But I wanted to at least get this culvert in so I could drive across here and use the dump truck to pick up them spoil piles, and then I can make the ditch look a little prettier than it does right now. But I just wanted to share some video and bring you along and make a record for myself so I can watch maybe and look back at all the mistakes I made on it. I don't know, time will tell. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep digging here. We're getting almost to the point where I can narrow it down, because pretty soon I'll just need a trench to drop the culvert in. And I'm just going to pack the clay back around this culvert. Well, we're getting there, but boy, is it getting ugly. They must have used this as an old crossing and buried a bunch of logs and debris in there to drive over. We got most of that dug out. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I talk about the bucket plugging up. Oh, what a mess. Yeah, that's what happens. And then your hands end up looking like that. All right, this is what the culvert looks like right now. We still got a lot of work to do on it yet. Well, not a lot, but got to pack more clay, mud around on the top to kind of smooth it off there. And I've been jamming some rocks in there, kind of packing them in. We gotta keep extending this ditch, and I gotta dig these willows out, which will be a mess. I learned that my eye isn't the most level thing in the world, because I still have water in this ditch, which if I had graded it properly, there wouldn't be. It would all run into here, so I got to dig this down until the water all runs out of her. Which, that'll be gravy work. And then, now, because all the spoil pile that was there, now I can straighten the edge on this ditch and make this ditch look a little prettier. And maybe even throw some grass seed or something in it, so it gets stuff growing in it right away. This side, I got to take these spoil piles off. And then I can complete the V, because right now it's pretty messy, but it's hard to work with that backhoe with the limited reach it has and make it look nice in one pass, at least for me, because I'm an amateur. But so basically I'll go through and I'll V these edges out better when I get these spoil piles out of there, and I can do some more work up in there. As far as the ground on top of it, I'm just gonna keep coming by, and we got one hill here on our property that's all sand. Everything else is clay. But I'll basically just keep, every once in a while I'll throw a bucket of sand on here, back drag it, and just keep letting her pack and letting her pack. And I'll probably put some fence posts in here, just to make sure some of the other people that might not be familiar with this thing stay away from the edges. This is what this side looks like. Definitely not the prettiest culvert ever. My dog put some nice tracks in there already, and it does need more work. You know, I'm gonna have to pack that in, maybe back drag it, smear some of that mud in. That seems to pack pretty good, and I got a feeling once that dries, it'll be pretty hard. But it really just needs to be packed. I'll just have to keep driving over the thing and until she's nice and tight. But we got a lot more ditching to do. We gotta extend this bad boy down to the next one, but that's all gravy work. And then there's another one on the far end. If you can see that, I got to get down to that one. And on the back side of that one, we're going to kind of dig a deeper hole once it's like the middle of summer. One where I can actually drive the tractor down in there. I'm going to try and get her pretty deep. Not big or wide, I mean. But yeah, I'd like to have a nice deep little hole there, and maybe even have a little spillway that goes off into them willows. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Nothing's out of bounds. It's just I'm an amateur at this, so as I work, things pop up and I'm like, yeah, I think this is what you got to do. So I can't predict too far out. But one thing I do know is before I can play with this anymore, I got to get these big piles out of here. So I guess I ought to get working on that. What do you think, Course? Ready to go? Yeah? All right. Wait. Yes. No, wait. Wait. Hey. Wait. Wait. The guy's a maniac. He does that no matter what you do. If I take him no matter where on this property, the minute you stop, you let him out, boom! He runs and then he comes right back. He's a maniac. All right, here you can see this low spot. This is where I've been taking the spoils from the ditch we've been digging, and we're actually the ditch is gonna continue around the edge of these trees. But I was gonna show you how I kind of level this. It's not like a true level, but it helps me work. Basically, I'm gonna run over it with rototiller, and I'll do a couple passes, and then I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. And it'll sink down and as it dries up, but it's a nice easy way, makes it look a little better, and it makes it easier to work on. All right, I'll do one pass and then I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. This is the aftermath of tilling that. As you can see, I didn't get all the way up to the grass because it's starting to get a little wet and the tractor's sinking in. But we got a darn good start on it. And as this dries out, this will make it a lot smoother and a lot easier to work to bring more dirt in. Me being an amateur at this, I'm not sure how much more dirt I really need to bring in, because we'll have that ditch running through there. And we'll obviously have dirt from that I can push over here. And basically what we're trying to achieve is slope, because up there is where I'm going to build the house. We're going to try and have a slope so the majority of the water and or snow melt that comes down this hill will run into that ditch, connect into another ditch and go down, and we can move it to a different section of our property. We want this section here for our garden. I'm still debating on when I dig this ditch over here, if I dig a section deeper to store some water, so if we wanted to irrigate, but I'm concerned about mosquitoes. I know if you put like an aerator or something in there to keep the water moving, you're not supposed to get the skeeters, or if you put little fish or stuff in there. But I got to do more research on that and find out, because I'm pretty sure if we put fish in every winter, they would freeze solid. But yeah, so I got to do more research on that. But we're getting closer to digging that ditch through there. The only reason I haven't started it yet, but I didn't walk through this morning yet, is it's still, there's no actual standing water in here, but the ground is pretty darn soft yet, because there was water in here a week or so ago. Well, all right, I'll continue on. Dog came just in time to help stack these willows up. One thing I find really helps for us with these is I throw them in a stack, which may seem like common sense, and then we use forks on the front of our tractor to pick them up, and it makes it super easy to haul them wherever we want. But with these willows, I always put them in a stack like this, and then I leave the stack sit for about 2-3 weeks, and then I haul them over, and I got a little Hugo culture that I'm working on, and I'll set them on top of there. But you definitely want to leave them sit in a stack like this. I don't know what the magic number would be for time, but you definitely want the stems dead, because if you go throw these in a pile and cover them up with dirt, they'll start growing. I mean, these willows are pretty resourceful pieces of wood. I mean, even I've had them where you cut them, you leave them lay on the ground, and you come back in a couple weeks, you know, because you've been doing other stuff, and you come back and there's roots coming out of the side of the willow if it was touching water. So I always put these in a stack, and I let them dry out so they're nice and dead. Because if there's one thing I don't need here is more willows. I got plenty of willows. All right, on to the next part. Once again, I have run out of time. I've got a little bit further here on this ditch. I dug a little bit of it out. I didn't make it very far down, but this clay I'm digging out is so wet. I'm gonna leave it sit here to dry. I mean, that's wet. Obviously, it's got water in it. Why wouldn't it be wet, right? But I got those willows chopped so I can wrestle with trying to dig them out next time. And then this part of the ditch, we got I have most of it V'd out to where I like it. Wasn't able to get to this section because I got that pile there. But the reason I hurried up and got that part V'd out is I'm gonna spread some buckwheat. I'm gonna spread it right on top. I don't know if it'll stick, if it's a waste of my time, if it'll work, but I'd like to get something green trying to grow on the sides. And obviously, you know, I'm gonna have to, one of my other trips up here, I'm gonna have to keep on digging down the line so this water can keep moving. But I am gonna still try and get something growing on the edges here. I'll go look at it from a different angle here. All right, this is a different angle. I mean, this ditch is actually fairly wide. Here's the existing ditch that I'm cleaning, I guess you could say. But so I'm a little bit concerned if they get a good rainstorm that this could fill up, but at least it'll only go as high as this outlet here. But it may still get high enough to cover my culvert that I just stuck in. That was the first time I've ever put in a culvert. I know they say you're supposed to use a bed of sand, and I mean, you look at the install guide on culverts, and man, you got to be a rocket scientist to figure all that out, and they want you to use special materials, this and that. I'm hoping this works. I packed it in. I didn't get very good video or any video of when I was doing the packing because I was covered in mud. I was packing mud down beside it, and then I packed rocks into the mud on the forward side of it. So I'm hoping she holds up. I mean, this should normally be dry in the middle of the summer. We don't get any water coming through here in the summer, but the rain with the clay soil fills up pretty much any hole we dig. So until I get this outlet here dug down further, this will probably hold water. But I'm hoping that once I get it all the way connected to the end, that no water will be up here, And I think that'll be the case, because the final ditch, when I dug it, the water, you can see just with the gentle slope of the land, when you're down there, the water level, there'll be no water in the side closest to where I'm standing now, and furthest away it'll be full of water. So I'm hoping there'll be no water up in here for the majority of the year, and I'm hoping I can get stuff growing. First I'm going to start out with a buckwheat, because you could throw that on concrete and it would grow, I think. And then after the buckwheat gets a little established and Mother Nature smooths out the sides for me, I'll probably spread some switchgrass seed or some kind of long native grass seed in here. I mean, she's looking pretty darn ugly right now for most people, especially now that I got these spoil piles here. But quite honestly, when I look at this, I'm seeing a ditch that's going all the way down. I'm seeing elderberry and hazelnut planted on one side of it, and just lush green grass growing through it. I think this thing's gonna turn out to be fantastic when it's done. I think there'll be birds up the wazoobas. I think it'll be great for when the snow runoff comes. The water will have a way to go. It'll be directed. It won't just puddle out on the land. But I suppose enough rambling. I'm gonna spread my buckwheat in there and call it a day.